master data, right? So we have started with the master data. We started with something called the customer master, and we discussed in customer master there are mainly three different kind of views that we will have when we create. One is a general data view, company code data view, and sales area data view. And to create a customer master, the functionalities of a customer master mainly like the controls, how to make the fields mandatory, how to make the fields optional, what to hide, what to display. Everything is controlled with the help of an account group. So you have an account group that controls all the things. Then again, in the master data there are some partner functions as well that becomes mandatory. I mean there are some mandatory partner functions like sold to party, ship to party, bill to party, and payer. What are all those partner functions that we have? And there are apart from this there are some additional partner functions also, like forwarding agent, contact persons, and all. We don't need to discuss at this point of time. We will see, like whenever we try to create certain scenarios, we will see like what all the additional partner functions that will also be possible there. Then we have also seen the controls from an account group point of view. Like in the account group, what are all the functions that we have, how can we define a number range, and so on and so forth, that we have seen. And the one-time customer, something that is we have checked it, we have seen it, but there's something we have to still see in the system, to create a scenario using one-time account customer. So that is something that we still have to do, right? So those are the things that we have discussed so far. Now what I'll do is now let's try to okay, I'm just logging to our system that we have. Let me, you guys had some time to practice all this, what we have discussed. Just wanted to quickly check. Did you guys have time to finish the topics until what we have covered so far?
Yeah.
Anyone? Maybe I'll just ask Ramesh, or you guys had some time to work on the topics or not yet? Let's get started with the topics. I'll just try to check certain existing master data. My master data creation, everything in this particular system is still on the way. I'm just trying to create in our system, because this will be the system that better that we use this particular system, so that you all will be using it. I mean the same system as well, right? So I think I need to just work on this particular system as well. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just take certain existing system. Okay, what I wanted to do is I wanted to today discuss mainly on certain fields that we will have in our customer master. We'll try to see certain fields that we have and see what is the relevance of those fields that we will be having. The relevance of the fields, not all the fields, but the important fields that we will be having, we'll try to discuss them. Okay, and always remember something, you should always know whenever we are creating, right? Whenever we are creating, this time I explain what is that I'm doing this particular transaction and all. I'm just taking such what is that I'm doing. I'm just trying to do a few things that I want to see here, but I will explain in detail. Don't worry about this that I've been sharing at this point of time. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just take him. Just give me 1 minute. XT03. I'll take him. Wanted to see. Administrative data. ZEQT is account group. Let me go to /o xt01 to create. So as I mentioned here, to create, to change, and to display, we have transaction codes XD01, XD02, XD03 that we will maintain centrally. If it's only sales specific, then FD01 and FD02. ZEKT sold to party, and the sales area that I have here. Why is this so slow? So forget it. So let me try to, we'll try to discuss certain fields that are there inside automatically. Okay, so whenever you try to create a customer master, right? Whenever we try to create some customer master data that would be there, XD01 and all. So what I wanted to mainly say is the creation of customer master, okay, is actually part of the users. The business users are the one who will create the customer master. But as setting up the account group settings that you have, or the partner determination settings that you will have, or making certain fields mandatory or optional, providing the different selection options for them, inside this particular menu, everything will be done by the IT people. Okay, so you will be enabling the details for the users to create some customer master. They would say, for me, I need certain fields as mandatory, or I want these are all the different options that I need. Like, we will just see certain options that we have. So all those enabling those in the background is part of the IT, but mainly the actual creation of master data will be done by the users in the production system. In your ITTs, in your test systems or in your development systems, just for the testing purpose, you will be creating them all that. But in the actual production live environment, it will be the business users will be working on this particular transaction. Okay. Now I wanted okay, now I wanted to just start to end customer master data field, right? The first thing that you will have is a general data. So this is a general data tab that you will have. And for example, if you select company code data as well, let me just go back here. Company code data and B1 7 EKT. Okay. So whenever you log into your, whenever you select, you will have first thing that appears where you have address and all these details is known as your general data, and you have your company code data and sales area data. So if you click on this company code data, then the menu that will be there is the company code data, and you will have general data and sales area data that will have. Then when you click on the sales area data, then you will have general data and company code data that reflects, and this is your sales area there. So general data is a data that in generally, it is common between SD and FI, but the company code data is mainly maintained by the consultants, and the sales area data by the SD consultants that we will have. Okay, so we will see certain fields that we have here. Those will be kind of important, for us to understand. And again, just before I just go ahead, I wanted to give one more small example. For example, I'm in the sales area data. Maybe there are certain fields that we don't discussing or something. You wanted to explore more on some field that you have. Okay. Let's say if you wanted to know more about the customer group, okay, than what we discussed today, what you can do is just click on that particular field that you have here. Okay. Just press F1. Just press F1. Then SAP will be already providing some documentation about what is a customer group. Like, it identifies a purpose of the customers, like, wholesalers or retailers, for the pricing strategies. You can freely define, like, everything about the detail about that field. SAP will be providing it. So my suggestion is, like, you try to at least read through once all the fields that we have. Maybe, you don't need to, just remember, because if you just read through once, then you'll at least understand, okay, what is that we have here, or what does that field mean. Or if you want to explore, you can do that. Just select that particular field that you want to have and press an F1 there. Okay, there are certain things, name 1 and name 2, it doesn't need any explanation, because it's just a naming, it's just a name of a person. So SAP might not have any much details, but most of the details where you don't understand, there is already a details that will be provided by the SAP. So you can always press F1 by selecting that particular field, and you will know more details about that particular field that you will have. Clear? Okay, let's just get started. Now, like, whenever you log into your general data screen, the first screen that appears, like, the first tab. So this is the view, I call it. It's general data view, sales area data view, and custom company code data view. So in the three different views, general data view, company code data view, and sales area data view. Inside every view, you have multiple tabs: address tab, control data tab, payment transaction tab, marketing tab, unloading point, export data, and so on and so forth. Similarly, if you click on company code data, you will again have multiple tabs like account management tab, payment transactions, corresponding, and insurance, and so on. Similarly, if you enter the sales area data, you will have sales tab, shipping tab, billing tab, and partner functions that you will have. Okay. So again, in each tab, you will have multiple fields, and this is a field values that we will be maintaining in those details that we will have. Okay, now the first thing that we have here is let's discuss about, in the general data view, under the address tab, what we have first, what we have is a title. Title is nothing but your customer, whether he is a company or whether he is a, let's say, you'll have, right, like, if it's not a B2B, if it's a business to it's B2C that we have, then we'll have directly a customer who will be maintaining, like Mr. So and so and all. But in most of the cases, in SAP, it will be business to business transaction, which is B2B, which means one company dealing with another company. So in that case, you select the title as company, then you'll give your customer's company name, his mainly his name, his first name, his second name, and whatever the details that you'll have, you will be maintaining it. So this is mainly done by the pre-sales team. Like, whenever there is some customer, whenever there's a negotiation that happens with the customer and all, there'll be, like, the sales team who will be mainly responsible for creation of this customer master. So they will maintain his name, his details, his title, and so on and so forth. Then search term is nothing but how do you, maybe if you want to identify some, if this particular customer using some term that you use. Search term is mainly used to identify a particular customer with certain code. So, like, maybe you have in your company, you will be identifying a particular customer using some code, or a customer master, a customer, maybe his name and everything is different. But uh, let's say maybe TCS or something. So, like, it's a Tata Consultancy Services is your customer name that you have, but you'll be identifying with the name called TCS. So whenever you search for TCS, then it's basically means that you're looking for Tata Consultancy Services. You don't need to, whenever in reporting or some, whenever you wanted to search for that customer, you can just press TCS, which means it will guide you through the master data that we have, because in the naming and all, we'll be maintaining the full name like Tata Consultancy Services and all. So whenever you wanted to search, you can search with certain code name that would be there, let's say TCS or something, for Tata Consultancy Services. Just example, to understand the fields. What happened? So I was mainly telling, now if I just going into the first tab that we have, which is an address tab. In the address tab there will be something called a title. Title is nothing but whether you select whether it's an if it's an individual, if it's Mr. or Miss, or Miss, whatever is it, or doctor, like every person will have some certain title against him. So we can maintain it as blank, or we can maintain it as a title against it as well, that we need to maintain. In most of the business transactions it would be B2B, so again, we can maintain it as company, not an individual. So company will also be kind of a title that they will have. Then you will maintain the name of that particular customer that you will have, that would be there. The name 1, name 2, name 3, and name 4, different ways that you can use in your reporting, and so, you can use that. So there will be name that you will be maintaining against that particular address that you have. Then you have a search term. Search term is like the easy way of finding this particular customer during your reporting, or might be during your table. And also, instead of searching for Tata consultancy service or something, TCS is basically an easy term to search. So if you maintain TCS, then which we can come to the same master data that we have. So search term is basically the way we search a particular customer in during your report, or during in any of the tables. We will use this particular thing called search term. Then we have the street name, then the house number, then you have the postal code and the city, then the country, region, time zone, transportation zone. We have not spoken it. We will talk about it later, because this is one point I have actually parked it for later point of time. But rest everything is the general data that you will have. Like you have a street name where that particular company exists, or the customer exists, and his house number or his plot number or whatever it is. Then you have the postal code and the city, so you give the postal code of it. Then the country, what is the time zone of that, and the region is again the states, kind of is subdividing this country into multiple regions or states, that we can call it. So those are all the fields that you will have here. These are all the common things. Then you will have the post box number or the postal code that could be there. And again, the communication. For example, if the customer is based out in India or in US, somewhere, the language, the communication language with that customer will be kind of English. But might be, if in case if it's in Germany and all, then the communication language becomes German. If in case if it's in French, then the communication language will become, if it's in France, then the communication language will become French. So what is the communication language of that particular customer? We will maintain him there. Then his telephone number, his fax. Nowadays, no one uses the fax. So if in case there is no fax, you can always make this field as uh, like display only, or you can also hide this field in your account group, so that they will never see the fax. If in case he's using a fax, then you can maintain the fax as well. Then email address of the customer, uh, and what is the standard communication method, like what is that he will prefer. Will he prefer a fax or an email or telephone? What is that he will prefer as a standard communication method, of all that they have. So like this, you will maintain all the general details of that particular customer in your address tab, all his address related details. Okay. Then you in the control data. Again, in the control data is basically might be like we'll talk about certain fields in the control data in the later point of time. We'll be using them in terms of our intercompany scenarios and all. We'll use or in a stock transport order scenarios or intercompany scenarios, we'll use some fields here. We'll talk about when we come to that. Then the payment transaction. The payment transaction tab here, basically again, this will be mainly maintained by by the finance team, I would say, or because the customer general data is shared between SD and FI. So in the payment transaction, maintaining the customer bank key, the bank account details, his IBAN number, all these different details that we will have will be basically like the customer account details from which he will be paying him. If in case he's paying through cards, what are all the, if he's doing paying through a debit card, or his MasterCard or his Visa card, and what is the card number valid. All this are the different master data that would be maintained by the certain the finance colleagues who are responsible for that particular bank account details and all. They will be just maintaining it here. Okay. Similarly, if I just go to marketing, so marketing is what? Something again it would be done by our HD, the maybe by us, the HD colleagues. So we do something, we maintain this marketing thing, but maintaining is by the users. But again, we should understand what are the fields that would be there, and if in case, how do we enable some fields in the background as well. So once we come to this marketing field, the first field that we have here is a Nielsen ID. Okay, what is a Nielsen ID? Nielsen ID is nothing but, uh, so it's basically like Nielsen is a kind of a company. Okay, it's a separate company that we have here, who does mainly the market survey. So Nielsen is a company. It's a separate company. You can also Google it. You'll find it. So they will do a kind of a marketing survey of that there. So they will, for your particular product that would be there. So or anything. So they will identify the regions. They'll identify certain regions in the market. To do some surveys. uh, Look, this will be helpful in order to launch a new product, whether how does your product behaves, or uh, like let's say, in that particular region, how does, if you want to experiment, maybe you want to introduce only to certain product in certain region, something like that, then you can use this Nielsen ID to identify if in case this customer belongs to that particular region or not. So Nielsen, in generally, they do some this marketing survey based on certain regions. Maybe they'll go to Maharashtra, let's say in India, and they will do some marketing. They will do some surveys and all, that they will be there. So in order for you to identify, okay, this customer belongs to, maybe he belongs to Maharashtra, then you can just see whether, you can, if you're introducing your new product, you can send some samples, or you can send some, uh, let's say, you can send some, the test pieces, before it release in market, to understand how is it behaving, if it's good or bad or something. If you want to do any of those marketing strategies that would be there, then this particular Nielsen ID would be used. So this Nielsen ID is again, it is based on, certain details that will be there in the marketing time. So it's just maintaining the regions that would be there in the later point of time. You'll be using to identify those customers who are belonging to that particular region. Okay, and whatever I'm just defining here. Okay, let's try to understand maybe the the fields here. So this is a Nielsen ID that will be used. Then we have something called a customer classification. So customer classification is nothing but, again, it's grouping of customers. It's actually grouping of different customers based on certain sales turnovers, or or anything, like, you will have some customers who can, who will be doing the business maybe up to some, some 1 million, or let's say 500,000. Then there are certain customers who will do the, let's say, sales for you, who will buy between 1 million to 5 million. Another one from 5 million to 10 million, up more than 10 million. This is for you to, because based on the turnover that they do, so you can actually have the different prices that would be there for those customers, right? So this will be helpful in terms of pricing and in terms of reporting, saying that who are all the customers, who made a sales more than 5 million, or who are all the customers who made so and so sales at this point of time, or which are all the customers, like, who has a good track record, or who is able. So you can classify the customers based on the volume, that they generate. And you can give a different pricing. Might be like, you wanted to give, you can use it for the pricing purpose. You wanted to give all those customers, who do a business of more than 10 million. So you wanted to give a particular product at a lesser price, than the rest of the people. So you define your pricing model as well. You can also maintain, you can also give separate, special prices for those customers, because they're taking in a bulk. The prices would be obviously different, right? So the way the people who take in a bulk, the price that they get, and like the individual customers, what they get is a, excuse me, is always a difference one. So the customer classification is mainly used for that particular purpose that you will have. Okay. Then again, we have this industry sector, or the industry that we will have. So industry is nothing but it's again used by the the marketing. Is basically industry sector is like grouping of customers based on industry that they belong. Again, this is used for pricing and reporting purpose. So you will have which industry does he belong. Maybe the customer belongs to a banking industry, or he may belong to agriculture industry, or he belongs to some construction industry, or some automobile industry, whatever is the industry that he belongs. So you will be, you will just maintain that particular industry of that particular customer that would be there. Just to understand the fields, as of now we are trying to just understand certain important fields that are here. Okay. That would be there. And again, there is something called a hierarchy assignment. This is again something belongs to something called a customer hierarchy that would be there. So basically, like, hierarchy is nothing but I'll again explain in detail. Maybe, like, there will be multiple hierarchies in a customer. For example, let's take about some big bazaar, or let's take about let's talk about a customer who has multiple hierarchy levels, which means, like, uh, for example, we were just talking about last week about certain partner function that would be there, saying that sold to party means the person who places an order, right? So he belongs to the person who actually who needs some goods. Maybe there is a Star Bazaar or somewhere who needs some stock. They will place an order, right? Like, they belongs to a customer, to a vendor, they place an order. So the vendor actually supplies to that particular customer that would be there. And he would say, okay, you send the bill to my corporate office, and the corporate office, maybe there'll be some other person who will actually make the payment and all. So which means, for that Star Bazaar, or for the big bazaar and all, there can be multiple hierarchies that would be there, which means, like, there are multiple places in in a particular city, maybe in Bangalore or somewhere in Mumbai. So you have like, multiple Star Bazaars or multiple big bazaars that would be there. So for all these, there will be one will belong to a hierarchy called Mumbai. Let's say everything in Mumbai, all the different areas, maybe Andheri, let's say Navi Mumbai or Juhu, like, all these regions wherever they have their operation will be part of a hierarchy called Mumbai. And Mumbai is again part of something called Maharashtra, and Maharashtra will fall into the West division. Again, West will fall into the India. So like this, there are multiple hierarchies that would be there, that they can maintain. Saying, like, if mainly the customer hierarchy would be used, let's say, to give prices. Again, this will be used for a better prices and all when we do it. Now you wanted to give for all the Star Bazaars that belongs to a price, a discount of, let's say, on certain products, or you wanted to give some free products for all the Star Bazaars that are in Maharashtra or that are in Mumbai. Then, when we have this hierarchy, you define directly a discount at a hierarchy level. You don't need to maintain for individual customers that would be there. Or maybe you wanted to give for the West division, or similarly, like, maybe somewhere in the south, for all the customer, for all the customers in this, let's say, who belongs to Bangalore, or who belongs to somewhere in Telangana, Hyderabad or something, they wanted to give a discount. Not all the customer means the customers, who are part of the hierarchy. Basically, like, all the Star Bazaars grouped together will be part of Mumbai, will be part of, let's say, we'll take Bangalore as an example. All the Star Bazaars in Bangalore are part of part of one hierarchy. Or maybe even inside a particular city there is east, west, north, south. So maybe all the south part will be belong to another one hierarchy. That how we define is again purely client to client basis, what we will have. But here in the hierarchy assignment, you're saying this customer belong to which hierarchy assignment. Basically, is he like, the individual, the end customer that is there, or is he like, is this customer maybe belonging to a Mumbai, or is he like Maharashtra, or if it's part of the West, or part of India, like this, which hierarchy level does it belong is what it would be assigned here. But again, we'll talk about a customer hierarchy. I'll also explain you guys about some details about that customer hierarchy in the later point of time. But at the moment, just understand there is something called a customer hierarchy, and here you will be assigning the hierarchy assignment here of that particular customer. Okay. Then again, key figures. Key figures is basically what is the annual sales that he has done in maybe you will maintain, generally it becomes in the last financial year. So what is the annual sales that he has done, this is again the currency he has done, some 10 million during the last year, 10 million USD or 10 million INR in the year 2020. So it's again, how is the customer behaving, how is his sales during the last year. These are all again for the reporting purpose, that we will be using. So basically, there is some reporting purpose, you can use this particular fields that would be there. And the next important thing that we will have here is again physical year variant. Again, it's again the region, it's again the calendar that we will be maintaining. What kind of a calendar that this particular customer falls into. Like we have seen some factory calendars and all, right? So there's something called a physical year calendar. To understand his physical year, basically easy, but we'll talk about what kind of period that he falls. Maybe in India it's from April to March is a fiscal year calendar that we will have. In some countries, it is January to December. In some countries, it is September to somewhere from October to September. So there can be multiple calendars that would be there. We'll talk about it in detail, but you're just maintaining how many periods that they have, or which calendar year that they fall into. Fiscal year calendar is again a calendar that would be maintained to understand the customer details, to understand his closing periods, when is his again it depend upon the region, but we'll talk about it in detail in the later point of time. Okay. Then the legal status. Legal status is again, let's say if in case there's a new customer that is coming in, basically any new customer will be coming in, will have some sort of a background check that would be done, whether he's a genuine customer or he's a fake customer, or what kind of information that you will have. This will help in basically to set up certain credit limits that we will have. Basically a customer who is having who you're dealing with properly, might be you can give him a better credit, than a customer who's newly coming to the market, and who is doing a business with you, because you don't know, you need to define his risk categories, or whether his background check has been done, whether he's genuine, how was his payment, with maybe with other customers. So there'll be information that would be there. So here from a sales you know point of view, you'll be maintaining what is his legal status of that particular company that would be there. Okay. So you can once the background check is done, so you will get that particular legal state information that would be there. You can use this, you know uh, here it has been defined a different way, but okay, you can use mainly this legal status to understand what kind of a company it is, and to do some business transactions with him. Okay. So that is what this legal status will help you to do. And there are something called unloading points. So whenever here, we will again talk about some receiving points, and all this is mainly again to the customer says, whenever you deliver the goods, you need to unload all your goods at certain point. So might be he would say you need to unload, might be inside the gate or outside the gate, in some location that would be there. So there can be multiple unloading points that would be there. We'll again see in detail here. So if in case there are some unloading points, you will maintain the different unloading points for this customer that you will have. Again receiving points is again linked to an unloading point. So inside unloading point, where will they receive the goods, and they will have something called a goods receiving hours. whenever they're receiving the goods, then you will have something called the goods receiving hours. Like basically, like what is the working hours. Maybe if in case the shipment comes after 5 p.m., they will, they will not be able to receive the goods. They will be only receiving the goods only the next day morning, and the truck has to wait because the customer cannot receive the goods because he is not available after a certain point of time. So you can maintain all these different details as well, but we will talk about while creating a new entry, we'll talk about in detail. At the moment, just try to understand what is that, how will you just maintain this. So you'll maintain something called an unloading point, then receiving points, then goods receiving hours. So all this you can define in this particular tab that would be there. Okay. Then there's something called export data. This is mainly used for some export purpose. But yeah, we will talk about it in detail later. Then here you have the contact person in every customer, because if it's a company, there'll be a particular contact person uh, for our customers. So there can be some marketing head, or he can be some sales head, or he can be some part of the purchasing head. Basically, if in case uh, if it's a customer, mostly it will be a purchasing head that would be there, because he will be the one who will be responsible for purchasing the goods. He'll be the one, whenever there's a place in order, who will approve their purchase orders, and who will clear for some payments and all. So you'll be maintaining those contact details of that particular person. What is his name, first name, the different details of his uh, you know of that particular contact person in a company, and his home address details. uh, Maybe his home address details that would be there. What is his first name, last name, academic title that he will have, his street name, and his telephone number, and all this will maintain. Again, what is his visiting hours, if in case we wanted to visit him and explain him, what times will he be available in generally, whether he's available mornings, what from what time to what time, afternoon what time to what time. Like this you can maintain his visiting hours, and what department does he belong to, what is his position, like whether he's head of purchasing, or he's head of finance, or whatever it is. You can maintain multiple contact persons as well. Basically this will be helpful. Let's say if in case you wanted to send some gifts to them, or something like, marketing team will have their own way of pleasing, the negotiating with the customers and all, right? So they can use for any purpose. Basically you'll create some contact persons. Maybe you wanted to contact to discuss about some products, or you wanted to send some gifts or something, like anything of that sort. They'll be using this particular field called contact person. Mainly this will be used in B2B scenario, because your customer is actually also a company. In that company, who are all the different contact persons that you have, to whom you can just communicate with, and you will maintain all that particular person's name, telephone, his home address, his visiting hours, his his department, and so on and so forth. You can maintain them. Okay, these are all the things that you have in the general data view that you will have. Again, now if I just go to SPRO, these are all will be maintained by the users. But in the SPRO, if I just come down here, go to sales and distribution. Okay, master data. In the master data, click on this business partner, click on this customer. So here you have multiple tabs that are there in SPRO, in sales and distribution, master data, business partner, and customers. In customers, now you have these tabs. Okay, now these are all the general data tab that you have here. Okay. We did not come to this part yet. Okay. Uh, Okay, so here you can maintain some contact person details as well. Like, the contact person, if you wanted to uh, use some contact persons, you can define them. Like, like as I mentioned, managing director, you can maintain the department, purchasing department, sales or department, whatever it is. The department that you can define your own, then you can assign the department as well in the contact person that would be here. So, so all the particular departments that you have, you can maintain it here. I mean, you can define multiple departments, you can define something on your own, or you can use something that is existing as well. Okay, so that would be the one that would be maintaining here, but we will talk about some other fields that we have. Now when we talk about this marketing tab that we have, we were telling about the Nielsen ID, the customer classification, and let's say the industry and all, right? For example, as of now, if I go to Nielsen ID, at the moment I have something called region 1 and region 2 that would be there. Now the maybe the Nielsen ID that he wanted to that maybe the company is doing surveys, let's say Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh. Let's say there are three regions that are there. So as of now, you will be able to select the users will be only able to select 01 or 02, because if you just go back here in your SPRO menu in the Nielsen ID, those that are defined are only these regions that are there. Now maybe he would come and say, I want the different regions, you need to maintain all the different regions that you have, you know uh, let's say belonging to at the moment, just just for our purpose, we will say uh, south, east, west, and north, let's say. Now you can just mention 03 as south, 04 north, 05 east, 06 west. He'll say, this is how the survey that would be done. Again, you save it in a particular transport, and he'll say, I want these Nielsen IDs to be reflected for me. I don't want 01 and 02. I want these. So once you create them in your SPRO according to business requirement, then business would be able to select those Nielsen IDs that would there. Whatever you define there, he would be able to select, okay, 03 south, 04 north. So whatever you have defined there will be reflecting here. Okay, according to his requirement, or he would say Karnataka, Maharashtra, and all this. Then you will define Karnataka, Maharashtra, and so on and so forth. Or he would say, okay, certain cities that he wants, certain regions, whatever is based on marketing or based on the sales team, they would say I would need these details. Then whatever you create here will be reflected for the users to select. Okay, so the users will request, he will maintain the Nielsen ID in the master data, but you will be creating to him based on his requirement the different Nielsen IDs that would be there that he would require. Similarly, customer classification. Now we have maintained the customer classification based on some turnover that he has, but you wanted to classify the customer maybe based on a different purpose. You wanted to classify the customers maybe based on, not based on some sales turnover, or or you wanted to use it for a different way, or you don't want to define, like 5 million, between 5 million and this, like this. So you wanted to define your own values. Maybe you wanted to define something called 08, which says, let's say uh, maybe some 10,000 to some 20,000, something like this. Anything that you wanted to define, you save it. Once you save it, you can define anything. Then in the customer classification, you will be able to see whatever you have defined here as well. So that's there. So business user will say, I want not between 5 million, I want between, let's say, uh, just give me a classification until 1 lakh, from 1 lakh to 10 lakhs, and 10 lakhs and above. I want only these three classification. I don't want all the other classifications. Then according to his requirement, you can define your own classification that would be there according to business requirement. You will be discussing with the business. You will understand how much, what you will explain them the basically this customer classification is used to give some pricing. You can based on the turnover, you can classify those customers and all. Then he would say, no, for me my classification would be different. I would like to classify this way, or maybe I wanted to use this field maybe for entirely different purpose. That's purely like whenever you discuss the requirements, he will explain you, okay, what to be done. So you understand the requirement, and you come in, you create according to his requirement, so that whenever he goes to this particular customer classification, he would be able to select your entry as well that you define. So you define in an SPRO menu, and he will be able to select in his easy access menu in the customer master data. Okay, and then if I just go back here again, you have Nielsen ID, then you have some this industry sector codes, then industry sector for customers, and all this, like here you will have this industry code is certain code that you will have uh, to a particular industry. Then industry sector of a customer, we have multiple industry sectors, right? Agriculture, whatever is media, manufacturing, marketing, whatever it is. Though if in case your customer, if it's not there, the industry is not there, you can define your own industry of a customer. Then you can assign that. He will say I want these industries, and he would say maybe I don't want to see so many industries, because might be we are the people who only deal with agriculture products. So we all our customers who belong to are all part of the agriculture, so we don't deal with the customers from certain industries like banking or automotive industries. Or maybe we are from an automobile industry, we never deal with anything related to the agriculture products, so our customers will never be based on it. Then you can always, we should not, here you should not delete it, but you can, in the real time as well, if in case if it's not required, then you can remove that. But it's not advisable to change anything that is there in the standard. But let's say the customer don't have any such requirement, he would say simply I don't want to see so many different entries that are appearing whenever I select. Then you could always in the real time, there might be few things that you could also delete. But again, we will always suggest them, okay, don't delete anything in the standard. If you're not using it, please don't use it. But if he's very particular, I don't want that and all, you can also remove it as well. Or if you want to add it as well, you can add anything new. Whatever you added would be reflected here for the user to select it. Okay, so these are all the different places where you could whatever the users will be selecting in the customer master, you will be able to edit them. Similarly, the legal status as well, inc limited ag something, it's maintained. Or if you want to have a different legal status, saying that the background verification pending, then maybe the background verification completed. If it's a new customer, you wanted to see all those whose background verification is pending. Maybe you wanted to define something called background verification, something pending, something. Okay, there's a limiting there's a limitation for the number of characters that would be there. So maybe I'll just say background verification pending, just simply. Or maybe verification pending. Then another one saying the verification completed. Something. Verification pending, verification completed, that would be there. Then maybe if it's a new customer, you can always maintain the default as verification pending. So which means there is some background verification that would be done for him. That is his legal status. So if you want to see all those customers whose the background verification is pending, you'll be able to see. Until that, you don't want to give some credit to the customers, or it's only the cash on delivery that would be available, so you will not give any separate credit for them. They always have to pay before that's there for all those who has their legal status as 07. And for those verification has been complete, then you will come and update the master data back again as 08, so that now there is a verification has been completed. Now he's a genuine customer, and everything is done, so we can give some credit to him and all. So you can come and update this legal status as well, and it can be used for multiple different purposes according to the business requirements. They can be used in terms of giving a credit or not giving a credit to a particular customer, or how much credit that they can give, or if in case the verification is completed or verification is pending. Like this, you have multiple fields that are available in SAP. According to the business requirement, you can define them, and you can use them according to the scenarios that would be there. Okay, so but whatever you define in the SPRO menu is part of the IT, so we will be creating them, and the users can come and use them, in their master data, whatever we will be defining there. So you will use this legal status like this. You can create the legal status, the industry sector, Nielsen ID, customer classification, and all. This should be there. And there is something called a customer hierarchy. This is something like, we will be setting up something called a customer hierarchy. We will talk about the customer hierarchy in the later point of time, which much more details. At the moment, I'm not telling. So, but there'll be something called hierarchy level 1, hierarchy level 2. What level does it belong? So we will talk about the customer hierarchy, how to define and all in the later point of time. So at the moment, for us, in this general data view, what is main important that we will be having is the address details, where you will have the basic information of a customer that would be there. Then you have this marketing details, where you have the marketing team will be used. Then you have the contact person details that would be here. Again, in the contact person also, you can you can define certain functions and you can assign them. But we'll talk about the contact person also in the later point of time. So for us, mainly it's address, marketing, unloading points. This is also important. We'll again talk about the unloading points when we come to the certain logistics of it that would be there. Then the contact person that we have here. Okay. So for us, these are all the fields that you need to understand. Then company code data is mainly maintained by the finance team, so you're not responsible for it. But there's something called a mandatory thing called a reconciliation account that you would need to maintain, some default account that would be there. But they will be maintaining the other terms that would be there for them. So we'll not focus mainly on this company code data, but just understand there is something called a reconciliation account that we will have here. What is a reconciliation account is? Like, it's basically on the finance point of view, there will be kind of a debit and a credit that happens. If there is some discrepancy, there'll be some reconciliation. Like, from an accounting point of view, they'll always, the debit and credit has to be matched. So reconciliation is basically matching your debit and your credit. So basically, let's say the books should reflect the same. For example, if you go to an ATM and if you withdraw the cash, the amount that you withdraw, the debit that happens in your account and the credit that happens in your in your account should match. And the debit and credit should match, and it becomes zero. If there is some discrepancy, maybe there is a debit that happened in your account, like, the amount has been debited from your account, but it did not, the payment transaction got failed and it could not credit in the corresponding account. Then there will be a discrepancy in the reconciliation account, saying that there is a debit entry but there is no corresponding credit entry. So they go and reconcile it manually, saying that there is a debit transaction but there has to be a corresponding credit transaction, so that their balance sheet account becomes zero. So these are all something that they have on the finance side that they will have. But for you, what is just to understand reconciliation account is where they match the debit and the credit. It's mainly from a finance point of view that they do it, but there will be a corresponding account that would be there, because when you create a company code data, mostly this becomes a mandatory field for you to maintain it. So you will be maintaining a default reconciliation account that would be there. But again, we don't need to understand much more in detail because it's not part of our job. Then there's something called terms of payment. Okay, terms of payment will be there even for us. So we will talk about the terms of payment later. So there's something called payment block and so on and so forth that they will have. And on the finance side, they have something called a dunning procedure. Dunning procedure is basically like, uh, there is a procedure that they have. Dunning means, let's say, once the salesperson will sales the goods, and once we generate a bill to the customer, we generate a bill to a customer, and we will give them, let's say, 45 days time to make a payment, or let's say some 30 days time, or he has to pay immediately, or something like, we will define it. And like, then if he does not make a payment, there will be some reminders, or before a payment, maybe there'll be a procedure that the call center people should follow. Like, before the due date, let's say, before 1 week of a due date, there has to be a call that needs to be called to them, saying that, your due date is approaching, please make a payment. Or maybe the first, before 2 weeks, send an email saying that on this date you have a you need to make a payment. and after just after 1 week, then you will send another reminder to him. And if in case the due date is passed and he still did not make a payment, then you will again have another follow up saying that after 1 week, this person has to call, or it has to, maybe the next week some escalation point has to call. Still, if the customer is not making a payment, then there has to be some legal notice that needs to be sent. So there will be a process and a procedure that would be followed. It won't be kind of a random calls that they will have. So there will be kind of a process that would be followed. So this Dunning procedure will have that particular process on how the follow-ups in their company that happens. There are some 4 level of Dunning every 2 weeks if in case a payment is done, or every 1 month, or payment reminder every 2 weeks, or like there'll be something called they do something called this Dunning procedure on the finance, mainly by the accounts receivables team, that they will be that they will have some procedures, and accordingly they'll create some procedures and they'll maintain some Dunning process, and according to that only they will be able to the follow-up team, the call center team will be making the calls and will be making the follow-ups with them on the finance side. So here, on the sales area data view, for you what is important is a reconciliation account here, and the terms of payment, again we will discuss about this during our sales area data view. Then there is something called a Dunning procedure that you need to understand. This is just for the just for the understanding purpose. If in case someone talks about this, you should be knowing these terms: what is Dunning procedure, what is a reconciliation account, and so on forth. But it's not job of you to define all this. It's just for the knowledge purpose that we would need whenever we talk with the FI guys. Okay. Then we have mainly that our team, that would be our, let's say, sales department, that would be there, will be responsible for this view called sales area data view, where you have sales, shipping, billing, and partner functions that would be there. So we will be talking about most of the fields that would be here. This is the most important thing for us, where we define them, and what is the purpose of everything that we will be seeing them. What is the sales stake, sales office, sales group, customer group, ABC, all these fields that we will discuss. But it will be in the tomorrow's session that we will be mainly discussing the different fields that we have in the sales area data view. Okay, so this is the most important thing for us. So general data view, address, marketing, unloading, and contact persons. You can just see unloading points. We'll again define them, and we will see. I'll again explain them in detail about the unloading points. But mainly the address is a common detail that you will have, and rest everything will be kind of optional. If in case there's a marketing team, then you'll use this Nielsen ID, customer classification, all this. If in case our business uses it, and if they wanted to know, if they wanted to define something, now you should be knowing where to define it. Maybe you have to go to your SPRO, you have to go to your sales and distribution, master data, customer. Then you have the different tabs. Then you go to this tab called marketing. Then all the fields that you have, the majority of the fields that you have in this will be reflected here, where you can define them, and so that the business can select it. For example, annual sales and all, you cannot select them. These are all something called free text. You can enter any text that you want, that would be there. So there won't be any selection option. For those which has selection option, we'll have this button. So if you click on this, or F4, F4 is a shortcut key, then you will be able to see all the values that are defined. Certain fields will not have any values that are defined. So these are all some free text that you can enter. Okay. Right. So these fields that we have just discussed, but we'll discuss mainly about our fields, which is our sales data. And again, define, we'll again see it. Again, sales will be under sales, shipping will be under shipping, and billing will be under billing. That you will be defining them, certain important fields that you have selection. But we'll talk about these fields in details in tomorrow's class. Okay. Any questions you guys have at this point of time on what we have discussed?
No, sir.
No, Dinesh.
It's clear, right? Okay, because our focus will be mainly on these fields because these are all important for you. Most of our business will be, whenever we define something new or whatever it is, will be mainly here. But as I mentioned, Nielsen ID and all, that is mainly by the marketing team that we would require that, because those are all kind of part of pre-sales. But actual sales things that you define will be here. Okay. Yeah, if no question, then I'll stop for the day. So what we were discussing here mainly is in the address tab that we have. So as I mentioned, we have actually three different kind of views that we will have: sales area data view, company code data view, and the general data view. And in every view, you will have multiple tabs that would be there: address tab, control data tab. This is all in the general data view. Similarly, in the sales area data view, you will have different tabs like sales, shipping, billing, and partner functions, and so on and so forth. Similarly, in the company code data view also, they will have their own uh, tabs that would be there. Mainly, that talks about account management, payment transactions, and all this. I think all this I was clear, I guess, right? There was no issue. Maybe when I was explaining the details is what I think we had some issue. Correct?